2021, and I gonna do some writing. Um, I'm EnviroBoy, as I decided to call myself. I'm not even convinced that I actually like that name, but I don't know. Fits, and it's there, and I guess I'm sticking with it. So, for better or for worse. Um, yeah. So today is a writing stream day. We're going to be working on my D&D world, like we've been doing, and I'll be sort of talking through my process as I'm coming up with things, and just with the general idea being that it's fun to share stuff that I'm working on and stuff that everyone else is working on together. So, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and jump into it. Forgive me, my voice is. I've had sort of an allergy day today, so my voice is a little wimpy right now. Hopefully, it'll hold on for a couple hours here as we're going. But if I'm clearing my throat a little extra, that's why. Not sick. I don't have the Rona, but I do have allergies, and just generally speaking, mediocre sinuses at best. I was fortunate enough to be born a pretty healthy individual, pretty well put together, all things considered. But the one weakness I have is definitely my sinuses. They consistently give me a hard time for very, very little reason at all. It just sort of happens. So, but yeah, let's get to it. We left off last time. I was working on the shipwreck beach a little bit to go on the island. I suppose I can go ahead and open up our folder here. I don't have my map going, but we can get that going here in just a second. Get the big world map going, and we'll get the region map that we're working with going as well. It's excuse me. I've been drinking soda, and my stomach is like, we're gonna go ahead and regurgitate every bit of gas that comes down with that soda. And I'm a child, so rather than switching to water like a healthy adult would, I'm just gonna power through it, and you're all gonna have to suffer for it. So, okay, so here's our world map here. Um, let's see here. Get our zoom tool going here, and we'll zoom ourselves in. Oops. That's right, we're in Photoshop, not in Roll20. So yeah, so here we are. This is our island that we are presently working on. It's definitely a slow and meticulous process the way I go through it. Expect, if you're someone who's watched some of the writing streams that I've done so far, and when I say some of them, I mean there's only been 2 of them, so if you've watched either of them, um, I've been working on this, and I'll continue working on this for a while. I am a very meticulous creator when it comes to these things. I like to take the time to really lay out every detail within the world. I don't know, I really like that. I feel like doing that generally keeps me as prepared as possible. And like if I front load a lot of work into being very tedious and detailed about designing my worlds, I run into fewer issues during actual game times where I'm feeling like I don't know my own world. Where I'm feeling like I'm not prepared to improvise. Um, I mean, the fact that I'm planning it sort of inherently makes it so that it's not actually improvisation, but you understand what I'm saying. Like it's less stressful if I have more details, even if they're details that maybe I wasn't planning on using in the way that I end up using them. There's still value there in having those things because suppose the characters kind of throw me a curveball and they're like, oh, we actually want to go to this one type of location so we can try and meet this type of person. I can be like, oh, I hadn't planned on that, but I had planned on someone at the bar giving you the information that you're kind of looking for. So you can, you've got options that way because you've taken the time to fill more stuff out. You've got options that you can draw. You just say, okay, they don't meet this person at the bar, they meet this person at the archives, and that's where they get the information that they're looking for, or something like that. You know, you can just do that. But having it planned, though, you know, because then the flip side is, well, then why don't you just have like a list of, you know, random character names that you can use, and then a list of things that they need to accomplish, so you can just mix and match on the fly. The problem with doing that, I find, is that it if I don't have something super clear, one, I can get flustered. Whereas if it's super clear, I can just, you know, if I'm feeling flustered by this curveball that that my players have thrown me, um, I can just dive into, like, I can pull it up and I can read a script rather than trying to just guess and randomly go after it. The other thing is too is if you don't have anything detailed planned, then everything sort of becomes improv, and it's hard to have a smooth transition in the instances when you do need to sort of, you know, give your players a bit of a nudge, you know, push them along towards the direction that they need to go. Um, you know, so there's definitely a bit of a balancing act, but I just find that the more prepared I am, the better it is. I would rather write 10 pages worth of stuff and only need one page of it than write one page worth of stuff and need something that isn't on that page. Um, but that's just my style. You know, the other flip argument to that is everyone's got their own style, especially when it comes to DMing. Some people, it is easiest to just, oh, excuse me, my apologies. Yeah, it's been a busy day. Um, yeah, some people like that sort of improv type of situation, and to those people, I say more power to you. Rock on. That's awesome. That's great. But if that's not how you operate, which, you know, it's not how I operate, then you got to find something different. You gotta work with what you got. And so for me, that is that is this level of world building, typing out and planning and all that stuff. But that little rant aside, let me pull up our detailed map of this place. Here we go. Just gonna zoom it in a little bit. So, okay, so I have been thinking about it, um, and the players that I'm working with that are coming to this island, they're wannabe pirates. They're gonna get an offer for a job to join the ship of someone who is after one of the same people that one of our characters is after due to their backstory, right? So that's going to be their nudge to say, hey, you should go check this out. You should check this place out. And they can do that. And what's going to happen is they're going to basically get hired on as crew hands on a ship, right? And the ship is going to come here. Excuse me. And my plan is to have them. They're not gonna crash. They're not. The route that I'm gonna have them take is a relatively safe one, and so they're going to land on the shipwreck beach. That's where the ship captain is gonna take them, and so they'll land on the beach, um, deciding right then and there if they want to go exploring the pirate. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be a long night. I apologize. If they want to search any of the shipwrecks for anything, or if they want to just kind of keep going inland. And what I'm thinking I'm gonna have happen is, I'm gonna have them one way or another right as they're kind of entering the tree line, assuming that we've got like a beach and a tree line. Um, they're right upon entering going to encounter one or more. I haven't decided exactly how the scene's gonna play out, but one or more. Golly, you know what? Give me 30 seconds. I'm gonna go get a monster, man. I need some energy. Holy poop. One second. Oh wait, hold on. I got a thing for this. There we go. Be right back. lied. It's not a Monster. It's a different brand of energy drink. But I'm not going to say what brand because they ain't paying me for it. So they don't pay me enough. It's a good flavor though. It's like a cherry lime flavor. Super tasty. My taste buds never matured past the age of 11. Still love candy. I've got a huge sweet tooth. It's one of the vices. Like, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do any drugs, soft or hard. Never abused a prescription or anything like that in my life. Very straight edge. But my one vice is a ridiculous sweet tooth. I could still, at the age of almost 30 here, I could sit down with a huge Halloween bag of 100 fun-sized candies, and I could probably mow through half of it before I started even feeling a bit of illness from it. I've got an iron stomach and a sweet tooth to match it, and it's a bad combo if I'm not careful. It's a bad combo if I'm not careful. Anywho, what are we talking about? We're talking about players are going to come in, and so my thought process is we're going to, somewhere around in here, I'm going to have them interact with some of the sort of enslaved people by the Cyclops. And they're going to take them. They're going to have like just a little camp hidden in the woods somewhere. Because this island is like a tropical island. You got beaches all around, and then you've got like sort of dense tropical forests on the inside is the plan that we're going to go with here. So they're going to take them to that small camp in the woods. They're going to discuss with them. When they first come in, I am going to have them say, "Can you please help our companions? They're in the shipwreck." And then they can help them out, and then that's when we follow in. You going to come up, kitty? There you go. There's my friend. No, you can't really see her on the camera. She's gonna come co-pilot. Aren't ya? First, you're going to step all over everything. Oh, no. Oh, are we running off? We're running off. That's not a good sign. I mean, she's got energy. She's going to be rampaging around all evening. Okay, so yeah, so they land. Some people come in and say, "Hey, our friends are trapped in the shipwreck. Can you help them?" They'll go fight some waterlogged zombies, come back out, interact with these guys, kind of go in here. And here they'll explain what's going on with the old manor. And then they'll probably drop a hint about the Pirate Cove being a place that they still see, even after the unhinging. They see people hiding out when they need to lie low. So it's going to be their clue that their target is going to be in there. I think just to drag it out and make it more fun and give them more stuff to do, because that's what I mean. You know, it's a weird thing. You're trying to create a sandbox, but you're also trying to give a narrative. But they'll go there to the Pirate Cove, find like nothing in there, and then I'm thinking there's going to be a connection between the Pirate Cove and the abandoned mine, and that's what's going to drive them in there. And then from there, somewhere along here, I'm going to give them a hint about the whirlpool. I might even give them the hint about the whirlpool in the old manor. I haven't quite decided exactly how that one's going to work out. It would work that, because, remember, in the manor is where that Cyclops is. And so the Cyclops is going to be sort of a side story that it's going to be meant to test it's going to be meant to sort of test the players' alignments. Because they've all chosen good alignments, varying degrees of lawful versus chaotic. They all chose good, but they tend to act a little bit more bipolar than just straight up good. So I kind of want to have this issue with the Cyclops enslaving and hunting people there as a way to sort of test their dedication to being good. See if we can compel them and their characters to sort of take a moral stance, so to speak. Because as I sort of described last stream, the idea behind the Cyclops is that he is intentionally designed to be one of the most detestable, disgusting creatures because he is basically the physical manifestation of the mental and emotional crippling of an individual who was already very greedy and self-absorbed. So he's meant to be a reprehensible individual. Um, I never explicitly describe scenes of like abuse or anything like that in my games, but I'm never afraid to suggest that those problems are problems in Zaoria, my world. I think there's power and value to adding those things, so long as you make sure you're careful to not, glamorize it or what's the term I'm looking for? I don't know. If you don't want to idolize it. You don't want to make it seem like it's cool or exciting to do, right? And so that can be kind of a trick, but usually I find the best way to do it is you just drop hints and you let people's imaginations fill in the blank, right? So the Cyclops won't ever say, I traced down and I raped this girl. It'll be like, you add subtle clues, like, like you have him just like make a nasty nasty comment like, oh, that's right, that one tasted delicious. You add something sort of gross and detestable, and it's meant to, like, I want the Cyclops to be that way. I want it to be like, like eye rolling level of tropes for how morally bankrupt this character is. I want it to be a softball because, like I say, the players that I'm working with here, they're new to the game, and so they kind of have that happy-go-lucky hero syndrome where they're like, we're the heroes, we can do whatever we want, and it's automatically acceptable because we're the heroes. And I want to try and challenge that in them. I want them to have to think about, okay, how would my character handle this? What's the best way to go about this? I think it'll be a softball because the good characters will probably want to do that, and also it is going to be financially sound for them to take the time to kill this Cyclops and be able to loot his manor, which still houses a lot of his personal wealth in gold and silver that he brought to the island with him when he first went there. So I'm thinking this is going to be a solid sort of first test for these players, because we played a session with this group. We played a session this past weekend, and they made it up to level 3. So they're starting to get the hang of just generally how the game works, what the cadence of combat is, how to utilize their skills, all that kind of stuff. They're getting those fundamental basics down. So now it's time to start adding a bit more challenge to them, I think. So that way they can really start to feel, the rewarding nature of what D&D can be, if you really let yourself get into it. And my cat is losing her mind right now. She has run in and out of this room probably 5 times in the past minute. She is out of her gourd right now. It cracks me up. I'm trying really hard to keep a straight face so I can keep the conversation going here, but she's losing her mind. She's a little psycho. And I'm telling you, it's dangerous for her to be running all fast like that. She's only got one eye. She's only got one eye. She can't see how far away the wall is. She's gonna slam right into it. And I'm gonna go over there and I'm gonna just laugh at her. I mean, if she's hurt, I'll take care of her, but yeah, I'm just gonna laugh. Play stupid games and stupid prizes. Okay, so at any rate, that's where we are with the island. That's kind of what the outline I want is, and now that I'm saying it out loud, I think it's going to make more sense for the whirlpool. That's the idea behind the whirlpool is that's where there's sort of a micro tear between the one of the philosophical planes. I'm thinking, I don't know if I'm going to go with the Nine Hells. I feel like the Nine Hells is a little too cliche, and I feel like that's a little too on the nose for this. I think it would be fun to introduce them to an idea of a plane that isn't just Mount Celestia, Nine Hells, or the Elemental Planes. I feel like those are, I mean, for good reason. I think those are the easiest ones for us to conceptualize. But I have faith in my players, at least, that they're clever enough that they'll pick up on the more subtle aspects of the extended pantheon for D&D. So I'm gonna explore with that and put that there, and that's where the influence on this island is gonna be. Like the old manor is kind of right on the cusp, you know, like right on the edge of where the sphere of influence. I imagine the sphere of influence really does encompass this whole island. I apologize. So I think so I think what we'll do is we'll have maybe there'd be some hints about what's going on out there. It would be kind of fun to like have them have to hunt down the dude, but then yeah, I don't know. I'll think about it. It doesn't really matter because right now, today, we're going to work on our shipwreck beach. And I'm going to go ahead and just walk through what my process is. I think one of the most important things that people are going to see here is that my process borrows a lot of tools to make my job easier. The fact is, as a DM already wears a lot of hats. You're a role player, but you also have to be a planner. Most groups, it's up to the DM to schedule things, despite the fact that there are presumably, you know, a large number of people who are equally autonomous in this situation. Oh man, it's gonna be a long night. It's gonna be a long night. I'm sorry. I'm very tired. Got up at 4. Had a pretty intense workout in the morning. And today is Monday, so I went rock climbing after work. And I am beat. And I'm going to sleep really well tonight. I can feel it, but not right now. We got to get some writing done. We got to work on this because my players finished up in the dungeon that they wanted to, so they're maybe 1 or 2 sessions away from getting to this area. So I got to start taking it seriously. So, like I say, I borrow a lot of tools. I utilize a lot of tools that do a lot of the heavy lifting for me. So that way I can focus less on architecture per se and more on designing thematic elements around whatever framework I'm provided with to really make a unique and stylistically interesting dungeon. So, we are going to go the first one, and anyone who has done an extensive amount of DMing in the past will certainly know about this website. I go to Donjon, and I use this website. I always call it Donjon. Donjon. This website, Donjon, is an awesome resource. Well, hi there. Yeah, are you announcing your presence? Are you gonna come say hi? How are you? Sorry, we're taking a kitty break for a second here. I know. Let's see if we can say hi to everyone. Where is it? There she is. She's like, no, I don't want to be on camera. Goofball. She's a cutie. I love my cat. I'm more than a little obsessed with her. Hold on, I gotta get my... See, and I done it. I messed with it. Oops. I made it worse. Hold up. We're getting there. We're getting there. I should have never toyed with it. Alright, that'll work. That works, right? Is that pretty centered? It's a little off center. Oh, that's worse. There. That looks alright. I've got my 2 monitors. I've got monitor and then monitor, and obviously I'm working on this monitor because it's right in front of me. It's the most obvious one to work on. But this monitor is where I keep all of my Twitch stuff going up, all of my streaming stuff, and I'm not used to not looking at this screen over here. This screen over here, not this one. This one. I'm not used to not looking at it. You know, I've been doing this streaming for Almost a week. Landmark. So Wednesday I'm gonna do a big bash. My 1 week celebration. Doing it for 1 week. Have one whole follower. Um, yeah, no. I'm not used to it, so I apologize if I spend a lot of time looking over at this screen, because I'm just not aware of how to handle myself. Anyway, we're working on using our dungeon generator. I love this tool. It is an amazing way to get a great framework for a dungeon. It rarely is good to go out the gate, at least the way I do it, but it provides a very solid foundation framework to utilize. And so sometimes it's got all these different specific things that you can utilize, and I sometimes will leave them just random. I'll just randomize it. Other times I have specific things in mind. So an example of this one, I'm gonna just call it Shipwreck Beach. It's not gonna matter because I don't really, well, I don't download directly off of here. I use this as a framework and I'll go for it. Dungeon motif, we can just do none. Map style, glacials, whatever, it's pretty. I like letting it be kind of random on the appearance just because it's pretty and it ultimately doesn't matter. Grid is square, dungeon layout. So here we can do specific things. I'm tempted to go with cavernous. Let me think though. So now this is where I have to kind of think about how I want to stylistically do this, because we're talking about shipwrecks, so it's not going to be like a standard hallway scenario, right? So I'm thinking each of the shipwrecks, it's not going to be so much like we're not talking, what was the one apocalypse movie? Day After Tomorrow? Is that the one I'm thinking of? I don't know. There's an apocalypse movie where they ended up going into, like, you know, as is tradition in any action movie, you know, like an abandoned German U-boat or something like that. But they were like going in one of those ships and it had like all the doors and the winding pathways. I don't want to do that. Not for this. Like, we're talking medieval ships, so they really had, you know, a staircase below deck, and that was it. It was otherwise just wide open, and I think I want to embrace that concept. I apologize. I so apologize. I'm not bored. I am tired. Whew. But yeah, like, you know, I'm thinking it's going to be more in the vein of having like large cavernous areas surrounding a beach. So I think I'm going to try cavernous. Now I always go for custom map size because I like to make my maps so that way they can fit. I've got a board. What I did was I bought a 2 by 3 foot poster frame. You know, those cheap like $8 ones you can get at the supermarket. I got a bunch of or one of those, and I just put. All I did was because it comes with like I was kind of proud of. I haven't thought about this for like recycling stuff. They've got their what am I trying to say? The sort of sample sheet that like talks about, like, it's just got it's the big poster size thing, but it's just an advertisement for the frame itself that just talks about like, oh, these are the dimensions, you can use it for this, that, the other thing. But you flip it over and it was white. So what I did was I flipped it over, and using permanent marker on that, I drew, you know, the size grid that I'm looking for, and then from there, you know, so with that grid on the white, you put that in the poster, and then you've got the clear poster, so you can just use like vis-a-vis wet erase markers for maps, right? And so it's 2 by 3 feet broken up into 1 inch squares. Take off one on any given end, on any given side or edge, whatever word you want to use for it, so that, you know, you can compensate for the frame. Gives me, it's like it's a 22 by 34 inch working space basically. So I make all my maps to that scale, so that way if I'm in person and we don't have access to try and use digital maps, which some of my groups do, we'll even when we're in person have, me pull up Roll20 and someone else pull up Roll20, so that way we can put on the maps and use those up there. But sometimes, we just want to go old school and we just want to use hand-drawn maps. So I'll use that so I can just I can draw a map on there but erase it later. But then with these, I always make sure that they'll fit. So we're gonna do columns. Aesthetically, I prefer things landscape as opposed to horizontal, as opposed to portrait. So we're talking about columns. We're gonna do the higher amount. We're gonna do 34 columns by 22 rows. So you can see it's got the autofill. I've already done it. Peripheral egress many. So the peripheral egress. I've only ever read the word. I've never said it before. That's my cat is losing it, man. You might even be able to hear her clawing the carpet as she runs by. It's insane. She's so full of energy tonight. I don't know what's gotten into her. Anyway, peripheral egress. Those are just ways to ways in and out of the map. And sometimes I'll just do one, like the only way in is through the front door, or there's the Pirate Cove will probably only have the one. It's like one way into the cave, that's it. I might allow one or two because I wanted it to connect to the abandoned mine that's there. But for this, I want there to be many as it's set to. Yes, so we're going to leave it on many because it's an open beach, right? The ways to leave are just to walk off the beach. And while this is a tropical forest island, so there's going to be some areas that are just blocked off by foliage and trees and such. It's not, they can't just, they can do whatever they want. But generally speaking, you wouldn't just want to go off anywhere. You've got, some specific paths with these egresses that are going to be our way in and out. So that's what I want to do for this. Size, map style. Yeah, and so they're not letting me control the room size, so we'll see what it does. We're going to go ahead and construct. Yeah, see, that was what I was worried about. This is the problem with the cavernous ones. The cavernous ones tend to have very large rooms and not subdivide them very well. Let's just try again and see if we get better. We're not going to get anything better, are we? We're only going to get 3-room dungeons out of this, which is disappointing at this size. I suppose it makes sense, but it's definitely disappointing. Well, now I'm wondering if... I don't know, I lost my train of thought. I thought I had an idea, but I guess I didn't. Alright, so we're not going to do that. Instead of cavernous, we'll go ahead and go with round. So when it says when it says dungeon layout, that doesn't mean like the shape of the rooms, it means the overall shape of the dungeon. And round is extremely relative term. Not much round about this area. No, it just refers to the general layout of the rooms are all going to be kind of in a circular situation, so presumably you would want to choose this if you're working on a like a tower or something like that, a tower that's going to be round and just kind of rise. But I'm thinking I want it because I think the round will do a good job of simulating a beach that just kind of it empties out around. And I have an idea. Stairs, we got no stairs. Room layout. Yeah, we want complex rooms. Complex lets us get funky shapes. Room size, we're gonna try setting them at medium. the the room sizes is one thing that I don't really care for with this tool. Is the room sizes are very arbitrary, as far as I can tell. I can't seem to reliably find a consistent way to think about how big the rooms are intended to be and how big they're actually going to be. So we'll see. But yeah, so we're going to go with complex just so we can have funky shaped rooms, which is what we want for the ships. It's shipwreck. They're not going to be nice and uniform. We'll set it to medium. Doors, secure. That's irrelevant. That's for... So the doors, well, I'm going to do labyrinth because I have an idea for it. I think I know how I'm going to use these. So we'll do labyrinth. Remove dead ends. We're going to say none. Include a lot of those because I want a lot of... Like what we're going to do... Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it be on a big backdrop of sand. Right? Sand the whole size of the map. And all of these areas that are halls are instead just... Like I'm gonna put in the rooms to my map as they're laid out to in the dungeon once it's generated. Once I generate it, and then the hallways, rather than putting in any hallways, we're just going to leave them open to match with the rest of the sand, so that there are ships and there's sand. And each one, the doorway is going to basically be, rather than an actual door, it's going to be some sort of method or some sort of way that you can get into that specific ship's wreckage. Mostly it'll be cracks and breaks in the hull and stuff like that, or maybe one of them has a ladder, like a rope ladder that you can climb up onto the main deck with or something like that. Yeah, we'll see. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do it all, but, you just kind of... Oh my goodness gracious, you can just kind of play it as you go. So we've got that. Move dead ends, none. Yeah, we can go ahead and leave the dead ends there because they'll just bleed into the beach. So let's construct it. Okay, so this is what it gives us. Yeah, it's going to give us 6 setups, which I think is plenty. So, here is what our next step is. I don't know if this will provide me enough room here, but I'm going to try it. We want that, and then we want this back up as well. Okay, yeah, it might be kind of tedious because of the nature of our... I'm doing 2 half screens. Well, it seems like it's balancing them pretty well here. Whoops, shoot, I didn't want to do that. Move that. Okay, so we're in the Dungeon Painter Studio. I use Dungeon Painter Studio. I think it's an incredibly helpful tool. I think because of the assets that people have created that you can download and use in your maps, I think it's a wonderful, wonderful tool. Makes good, attractive, maps that I'm excited to use, and it makes making them easy. So let's see here. I'm gonna look at ground. Do we have sand here? Dirt cave, grass, ground. Sand. Sandsea, I like the way that looks. Okay, so Sandsea. So we need to make a rectangle that is 22 by 34. So there's our 22. Okay, so there's our map right there. So now, what I'd like to do go to floors here. Just try and find some wood planking type of floor. Here we go, wood flooring. I think this should be striking enough. Let's see here. Okay, so we've got room number 6 here is... So then what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be counting the squares here to make the rooms the same size and put them in relative locations to each other. And because of the way the rooms are laid out, once I get one, I can get the rest of them. But we're going to do that because, like I say, we're going to ditch out all these hallways, and that's just going to be all the space that's the beach there. And we'll fill in some of those because, again, I try to do my 10-room dungeons. So we have 1 through 6. And then we can use like 7, 8, 9, 10 to get our 10, and we can have some things that are out in the open. Is what we're gonna do. That's just how we're gonna do it. Okay, so to get this in the same place, we can see that 6 is 3 in from the or 4 in from the edge. So it's gonna be right along here. Luckily, we just kind of lucked out with the placement of the grids and stuff. And then from the bottom, we're at. So if we're starting here, we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 away from the bottom. 5 up from the bottom. So that puts us right here. And I want to do some, so 3, and then shoot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? Wait, hold up, I miscounted. 1, 2, 3, did I miscount? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, no, okay, no, I did have it right. There should be 5 in between where I'm placing, and where do we go? So we got, shoot, remove that. Oh, gosh dang it. Where's my undo? I know there's an undo. Whatever. Whatever, man. I'm sleepy and I'm not working as hot as it should be here. I'll get there. I have to just be patient. Just show some patience. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and choose different sand. We're gonna choose that sand. Take that. 22. Oh, god damn it. Nope. Shoot, I'm sorry. I'm trying to. I opened up from the very beginning. I didn't want to be a swear channel, but here I am being a swearwolf here. Werewolves, not swearwolves. 34 by 22. There we go. Okay, so now we want to go back to floors. To wood. Ooh, I like this. Wood. Old slats. I think that looks good. I'm going to set it up like that. So it's in 3, up 5. 1, 2. Okay, and then it goes up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5. And then we go over 3. And we go down 2. Go over 2. Down. And then meet it back up. Okay, so we've got 1. Now, see, the rest of them start getting easier because we can do them all in relation to each other, right? So the corner of the 1 is right there. Then we go up 2, over 2, go up. Oh, shoot, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. Go up 7. 7. Go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Go over 7. Go down 2, over 4, down 3, over 2, down till we're even, and connect the dots. And we connect the dots. Okay, so this is process. This is process. This is what do. This is my process. This part is a little bit tedious, but there is something satisfying about kind of witnessing it all sort of coming together like it's starting to do already with us right now, right? So these are going to be chunks of ships. And my thought is that each of these is maybe part of a different boat, but I'm actually thinking it'd be kind of cool if I kind of make rows here and just make it so that, as players are encountering all of this, they're seeing like some of these are like separate ships. Like maybe this is the bow of one ship and then this is the side or the center of one ship, and then it like there's a break in it that kind of opens up, and then this is like the bow of another ship or something like that, and that bumps up against some of these other things, stuff like that. And so I think that this is going to be a cool map to work with because we can put some stuff in the sand around. Yeah, I think this is going to be a cool map. I'm feeling good about this map. So let's do this room 2 here on the Don John Web tool. Right, so then we go up 5, did it say? Yeah, because 1, 2. Okay, did I goofed something? I have to have goofed something. Let me see if I can figure out where I goofed. I'll grab a pencil just because it's easier for me to visualize and point things. So this is one thing that can be kind of tricky, but is worth taking the time to do. My first immediate thought is, if I can't remember if this website adds to the border, if it adds a row to the border, so it's showing me a 24 by 36 rather than a 22 by 34. So I'm just going to count and see. We'll count the short way because that way we'll know. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 20, 21, 22, 23. Yeah, so I did something wrong. See, this is the part that can be tricky, especially for me because my eyes kind of struggle with these grid forms. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20, 21, 22. Nope. Okay, so it's 22 there. So maybe I miscounted something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we have our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the 6 is where it starts. Yep, goes up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 5. Yep, that's good. Yep, up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then it goes up 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. Huh, I'm stumped. So it should then have 1, 2, 3. Have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the edge. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. I must have done something. I think did I goof up the sand maybe? We're at 5, 10, 15, 20, 22. I'm so confused. How is this? Why isn't this working out? Why is the math on this situation just not working out? Okay, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and just stick with getting this in because we can still fit it, and then we can just add a row and subtract a row if I need to, if that's where I goofed up, if I just have it off center or something. I don't know what's going on. I can't figure out in my brain space why this is looking kind of goofy. But that's okay. We got to go up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we go over 7. Down 2. Over 2. Down 3. Back to there. Okay, and then for this one, we're starting off right here. It's down 2. Over 2. Down 5. 4, 5. Over. Yeesh. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Over 9. 2, 2, 3, over 4, up and connect the dots. Okay. So see, now I'm worried that this one's going to be off too, but we're gonna go for it too. It's over 2. So 5. Yeah, and then it goes over 1, 2, 3, 4. Goes over 7. And go down 1, 2, 3, 4. And go over 2. Yeah, look, it's the same thing there. That's so weird. That's so weird. I can't figure out why it's doing that. Okay, hold on. I'm just gonna count again here, man. I'm getting so confused. I got myself all kinds of turnaround, baby. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15, 16, 17, 18, I counted 23 again there. I don't know what's happening to me. I can't understand what's happening and why I'm being stumped by this so hard. Yeah, 23. So it offers up an extra one. Probably, you know what? It's probably just it offers an extra one on either end, probably because it has to. Because you notice that every hallway is going to be odd. Because you kind of it's not one, it's three. Right, so everything needs to be a multiple of 3. I think that would take it down to 21 or something like that. I don't know. Not necessarily multiple of 3, but it means that there's going to have to be an extra one. I guess is what it means for the hallways to work, and that's probably what I'm running into, because that makes perfect sense. Because if the hallways are always isolated, that means basically for every hallway there's one space, right? There's the space and then the hallway, and then the space in the hallway. See, and then space hallway. So it's really there's 2. But then otherwise we would end with a hallway on top, so we have the one extra. So that's why it's there. Something I'll have to think about. That's why we have the extras there, though. Grab this. Plot sand A, so we're going to go ahead and go to ground. Sand A. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And then we'll go ahead and remove that one. I don't know what these dots are. I don't know if I can get rid of it. Oh, they're just there. Okay, well, whatever. Okay, so here's our rooms, right? So, looking at these, I think this is going to be an excellent shipwreck theater. One of the tools this does allow for is some walls. We're going to go ahead and just put some wooden walls around. They're not hardly even going to be noticeable, but it makes me feel better to have them. So I just do this just because I'll know, and I want it to be perfect. Okay, so we got that. So which wooden panel is this? Plywood. Polywood. Let's see. So we're just gonna move. Excuse me, man. I am so belchy tonight. I don't know what it is. I wonder if there's something in the chili. I don't think it's that. I had some homemade chili. It was really good, and I don't feel sick. I'm just gassy. So, and I guess you could argue that like the chili and peppers and stuff like that might be impacting my GI just a bit and producing a little extra gas. That's certainly not unheard of. So we're gonna shift up here. Here's what we're gonna call this. Oops, shoot. Collect all of these and we're gonna group them together. I'm gonna call this room 1 base. So I like to do this, like do groupings and then renaming, so you can like kind of tile-wise ungroup things. And so it's like, you know, I'm gonna make all of these rooms exactly how I want them, and then the make all these rooms how I want them, and then when they're all together, then you do that. So that way I can keep all of the rooms on the bottom layer, like I'm doing with this one. See, because if I do that, it's gone. But this way I can do all of that, but then it keeps all of the walls and the floor where they need to be in relation to each other. Because there are very few things that are as big of a pain as trying to painstakingly, one wall at a time, get yourself reoriented and everywhere you need to be. Okay, so we're doing room 2 now. That, and that. Okay, and so now we're going to select and just make sure I know. Yep. Okay, so we're going to put that down there so it's below the walls. Shift, take all of these things, group them together, call it room 2 base. And you just do that for all of them. Okay, again, it's painstaking, but if it's meticulous and you do it intentionally, right? Because then you can do this, and then once everything's together, we can select it all of these things, and we can do it, and we can do floors, and then you start adding more layers on top of that, and you just go from there. So let's see. So let's get room number 3 now, which is going to be this bad boy here. There, there, goes there, there, there. Did I get that well? I don't think I got that well. I do think I got that well though. Okay, so again, get our selection tool here. Polywood, that's gonna go right there. Shift click so we get all of those, group them together. Room 3 base. Straightforward and easy as that, right? Okay, so we're getting there. Walls, so now 4 is here. Put that up there. Boom, there we go. Okay, so we got that. Select our hand tool. Plywood, shift do that. Group it all together. Room 4 base. There we go. Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure I'm keeping track of like time and everything. Okay, we're already an hour in. Man, these streams fly by for me, even when I don't really have like an audience yet. Like, this flies by. I'm having fun with this. I enjoy doing this. Man, I should have started streaming so long ago. It's fun having an excuse to just sort of talk out loud and explain what I'm doing and what's fun for me. You know, it's fun. It's a good time. Okay, so this one goes down here. Oops. It's not caps lock. We want that. Group them together. Room 5 base. Oops. Base. Okay, so now we got our base layer for room 5. Excelente. And now we just gotta get our last one here, which is going to be shpoop poop to poop. Shpoop doop doopy doop boop. Stoop doop. Doopy doop. Doopy doop. Doobie. Oops. Well, we can just go ahead and do that. It's not gonna make a difference. Alright, and so then we again will take our flooring down to the bottom. Shift click those, group them together, call it room 6 base. So now, you know, this might beg the question of some people, why bother setting each room? Why not just do all of the walls above all of the floors in terms of layer order? And for me, that's because that way, supposing I just need to edit one room, then I can open up the group and find the room that I need and only work on that one room without having to try and fight over what walls belong to what rooms and everything like that. So that, because then what we're going to do now is we are going to take this, we're going to group, and we're going to rename it floor layer. Now there's one other thing that I'm going to do here that could arguably be considered part of the floor layer. And what that is I'm going to add doors. So now this is where it gets kind of tricky to figure out how detailed I want to be. I could arguably remove, the chunk of wall so that way there's openings in it. But I think for the sake of simplicity and for the sake of consistency for my players, I'm going to go ahead and put them as doors, and I'll just explain to them the doors are openings. These are just like holes in the hulls of ships. Because that's all it is, right? So we're going to look at doors. is these, just so that way it can be kind of easy enough to see what the nature of the door is. Because I do have problems occasionally where, or not problems, there will be situations from time to time where it's important what way a door opens, right? Because they're trying to be sneaky about something or something along those lines. So we're going to go ahead and put a door there. Now, like what I'm going to do, all I'm going to do is I'm going to match the doors up to what they are in the dungeon generation here. And remember, for the sake of map making, I'm putting them as doors. But in reality, these aren't actually doors. They're just openings in the hull of the ship. So I want those openings like that. Yep, that's perfect. 6. Let's see. Let's just do it one room at a time here. That'll help me keep straight what I've done and not done. So 2. Need a door there. We need a door right smack in the center there. All right, and then we go to 3 here. 3 is gonna definitely be causing them some problems in terms of, as a safety bottleneck area. Let's see here. I want it down in a burning ring of fire. We're gonna go to 270. Gonna put one right there, and then we're gonna go to 180, which we'll put one right here, and then oh shoot, we do need one more. No, we need 90 degrees, and that goes right there. Okay, so there's 3. Okay, room number 4. It's kind of looking messy, but that's okay. It actually just kind of adds to the aesthetic, I would say. I think this is going to be cool. I think it's kind of transparent that we're kind of using some game theory here. I don't think game theory is actually right term. That's like a specific term for something. So I probably shouldn't use that out of context. Or rather, in the absence of context. It's not even that someone's misinterpreting context or anything like that. It's just downright there's just not context. Oy vey. Okay, so then 4 we've got there, we've got there and there, and then we've got there. So those are openings for area 4. 5, we just go bada bing, bada boom. And 6 I already took care of. Okay. So there's our donjon. With the doors there. So now we're going to go ahead and just do shift there, select all those, group them together. We're going to call this door layer. And then what we're going to do, see now here's where like the kind of the cool thing here, we can do that together and we can call this foundation or skeleton. Actually, I'm going to call it map skeleton. Okay, so there's our map skeleton. So now at this point in time, we've got our map here, and we can just start filling it and organizing. Now, I find it to be fun most of the times to go ahead and use the challenge of however the dungeon numbers the rooms, to use that with my framework, because I've got that framework that outlines, this room 1 should be this, room 2 should be this, and that's never meant to be like, rigid. Like you can exchange what is done in what room, but you really just do that by numbering the rooms kind of uniquely, which is how I prefer to do it, because you'd be surprised at how long it takes for players to recognize that you're doing that. And that's not meant to be some sort of disparaging, calling players stupid or anything like that, but it's like, it goes back to what I've said before about D&D, where it's, if you're the one making it, it's much easier for you to understand and feel passionate about it because you're the one invested in it. Whereas the other people, they just show up to play for, an hour, and that's it. So it's like, or not an hour, like 3 hours, maybe once a week. They just don't have that same intimate feel with it. At any rate, don't think I really need the dungeon anymore. We'll keep it around just in case. Okay, so we're gonna go. Oops, that's not really what I meant to do here. Hold on. There we go. Okay, so just give myself as much as possible there. Alrighty, so I'm gonna figure out what we're gonna do with our rooms. So we went through, we kind of figured out and created a bunch of sort of baseline main things to do. So I haven't done the dungeon-wide notes, but I'm gonna skip that just for a second. We'll come back to it before we even really get into the heavy parts. So I'm sorry, I gotta lotion up my hands. My hands are so dry these days. So dry. You know, like winter finally showed up around here. It took its time getting here, but we had some blizzards and, you know, like even before we get like severe inclement winter weather, my hands tend to chap up just because I use them so intensely. You know, I work out for at least 2 hours, 6 days a week, oftentimes with a couple extra hours thrown here and there for the sake of doing fun sports activities. Because I do like 2 hours, it's like working out. I go to the gym. Well, these days maybe not quite so much, but you know what I mean. You know, I set up home gyms and everything like that. Pretty soon I can feel comfortable going to gyms with social distancing and stuff. I am a very lucky individual, in that, in large part thanks to my work. My cat's freaking out somewhere again. I heard it. Jeez, man, you'd think my house was or my apartment was haunted. But yeah, I'm very lucky that through my work I was able to get a vaccine. I wasn't first in line. I had to wait a little while, which is why I am this coming weekend only finally getting vaccinated. We had to wait a little bit, but because of my work and the high potential to go out and interact with the public, just to do my standard primary functions of doing inspections and stuff, I qualified. It's razor thin. Actually, not everyone in my office qualifies. There's a few other factors that play into it. But I'm really glad for it because my mother is immune compromised. So I'm going to get mine. So the reason I bring it up, though, is just because pretty soon I can think about going back to the gym and feeling safe while I'm doing it, which is going to be nice. It's going to be nice. I've been going, like, I'll go as long as the crowd's way down. I'll go social distance, wear a mask, because the gym I go to is a very big one. And if I get there at like 5 in the morning, it's empty enough that I can really keep my distance from other people. You know, we can set up like 4 or 5 treadmills between each person, right? And all of us wear our masks, and it's not bad. And for the most part, people are very good about respecting and wearing masks and respecting space and stuff. And it's just if it gets too crowded, you just don't go there, you know, and I do a workout at home and stuff. But I'm excited to be able to have a bit more flexibility because I will personally be, you know, immune, and I still got to be careful when I'm like visiting other people and stuff like that. But just in terms of my own safety, someone comes by and, you know, decides to pant on me or something like that, then I can, you know, not have a heart attack for it. That'll be nice, because I just generally miss the gym. But yeah, anyway, I use my hands so much, and because I'm at the gym, I'm also washing my hands all the time when I'm there, and so my hands just get chapped like nobody's business. Hi, kitty. Did you want to come up? Is that why you're coming over? Do you want to come up, little girl? Psst, 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 psst. She's like, I kind of want to, but I'm going to stand here and make you just look like a fool for a couple minutes before I commit to it. Come on up, little girl. Leela. Psst, 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 psst. Leela. Come on up. You can come up. There we go. Oh, that's a good kitty. That's a good kitty. Yeah, you can't really see her on the camera. It's too bad. She would get very mad if I tried to like pick her up and hold her to the camera, though. We're not really into that, are we? We're getting better. She was a rescue. Had kind of a tough upbringing. Spent a lot of time living in discomfort in the very crowded cat shelter she was in. So it's been some work getting her to come out of her shell just a little bit, but we're making progress on that front. Slowly but steadily. What's she looking for, kitty? See, this is kind of one of the fun things about having an almost zero audience, is that I can take the time to do these things because there's not anyone going to be upset with that. Who would know? Who would know? Maybe one day someone will go back and want to archive this and be like, God, he was such a freaking weirdo. He was talking at nobody. Anyway, I'm supposed to be writing. So now, got a framework, and so now I got to kind of decide what rooms I want to be utilizing and what's going in each room. So one thing I actually do want to do before we dive into that too much is I want to go ahead and just set up our baselines here. Makes it a bit easier to think about how to organize everything else. So I've got my system of skill checks that I like to use that make skill checks kind of a gradual thing. And more important than the gradual increase in difficulty that mostly matches players' levels. It's not perfect, but it can be kind of hard to make things perfect. And I can always modify when need be. But generally speaking, one of the things that I really like about keeping a consistent system consistent system, consistent. I don't know. One of the things that I really like about doing that is it makes it feel more fair to players. It's not an arbitrary thing. I can point to it and say, if there's something that's like easy for you guys to know, this is what the roll is going to be at this level. If it's something that's going to be really difficult for you to know, at this level you're going to have to roll this or better, right? So that way I can point to it and say I always use these unless there's very specifically special circumstances. Otherwise I always use this. And that's where this comes in. So for level 1, it really is easy. An easy check is a 10, medium is 11, and difficult is 12. And the reason is some people would argue that that's too low. But the reason that I do that is because early levels oftentimes are dominated by new players. And we want to encourage new players to feel like the game is fun and that they're going to have a reasonable chance of having success. And you up the difficulty as you go. Level 1's like the tutorial level. Right, so it's like it's still possible for them to fail if they roll poorly, and they're going to have poor enough skill checks and modifiers that it's still going to take a little bit of luck for them to pass. Like they're not raking in the plus 10 for this, that, or the other thing. They're going to be at like plus 3 or 4 tops, unless they're a power gamer, in which case they're probably not unfamiliar with D&D. So. At any rate, so I always keep those. Now we kind of already figured out the enemies up here. Hey, little girl. I know, I see you up there. Yeah, there she is. There's the kitty. She's a good girl. Yeah, she's got a little bed there. She'll probably snuggle up in there. But yeah, so we have our enemies. We've got crabs. Is it giant crabs? Is that what it was? Giant crabs, then ash zombie, giant grab, the crab, giant crab, ash zombie, and then what was it? Husk zombie burster. Husk zombie burster. And now, one of the things that's important, and this is why you'll see that I put like in parentheses these extra notes about things. It's important for the system. We're just going to copy and paste it because I'm lazy. It's important for this system that I'm using here to make sure you use the name of, like the actual official name of whatever stat block you're using. Because you don't want to be sitting there trying to figure out what on earth was I talking about. Like if I created like an NPC type of enemy or something like that, and I just called him, Earl the Grey, whatever, then obviously there's not going to be anything like that in the monster manual. So I'm going to be sitting there thinking like, what on earth did I do? Especially if it's something that I write and then we don't get to it for months because the players get distracted running somewhere else, right? So it's always good to do the official name and then parentheses what you want to skin them as if you're going to like reskin them. So that's what I've done there. So now long rest. We roll 1d10. Alright, so 5 are going to be half of enemies killed will regenerate. So So we want to, we're just going to do, whoops, no, we want that numbered still. So then all we're going to do is copy it, paste it, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we've got 5. There's 50% chance of that. So now 2% chance of wandering monsters approach. So wandering monsters approach. Medium difficulty for intended play level. So we're going to want a medium level difficulty thing here. So now here's where we pull up some other tools to make this easier. We want to go to, I'm going to use Kobold Fight Club. So Kobold Fight Club is one of my favorite tools of all time for D&D. It makes it so much easier to try and come up with a balanced, like a properly balanced combat based on how difficult you want it to be and what your character's levels are. Right? So for this, what we're going to be doing here, I'm going to set it to random medium, and then we're going to just match the, oops, hey, come here, nope, come here, we'll get it, there it is, okay, come here, alright, okay, so, I'm just doing this just to make it easier. So we've got, it wants to do 1 CR1 enemy. I don't think, shoot, see, now here's where it would be smart of me to 0, 1/8, 1/4, and 1. Crabs, CR0, CR1/8. Gotta keep an eye on that 8 key. That might be a little wonky, and I might need a switch replacement here. CR1/4. And then the last one's going to be CR1. Now, it's given us the 1 CR1, which isn't necessarily a problem. Except that my intention is for that to be the boss, the big bad, right? And so that the other, all of the other enemies are just of these 3. R1, 8. Yeah, that button's a little, it's mostly working, but it's being kind of a stinker. Okay, I'll let it slide for now, but I do have spare switches if I need to. Recently swapped out the switches of my keyboard from reds to browns, and I am pleased with the move. I like the extra, just the extra bit of tactile sensation that make them just a little bit clicky without it being, you know, that the noise. I know some people love the noise of like the blue switches clicking and all that kind of stuff, but for me it's a little intense to be constantly hearing that much clicking. But I like the feel of it. So the brown switches were great. I didn't. Took me a few tries on a lot of switches to get everything in right. Definitely accidentally busted a few switches, which made me glad I bought some spares. I don't suspect the switches that I bought were really intended for my keyboard. But, you know, it's all aftermarket stuff, so after a certain point, it's just going to be what it's going to be. Okay, so let's see here. On focus here, so we're going to have 2 1/4 and 2 1/8 for the first monsters here. So we've got 2 quarters, so we've got, oops, we want to do that. Nope, dang it, I goofed. There we go. Ash Zombie times 2. And then giant. Are you chewing on your bed, you psycho? What is up with you? Don't destroy your bed, fool. This cat. What, you wonder what goes on in the heads of animals sometimes, you know? Okay, giant crab times 2. They're just such... Animals are just so weird. I love them. I think my favorite interpretation of what probably goes on in the head of any animal, it's my brother-in-law. It describes it this way, and I think it's a beautiful description of it. Is it's just like going on in an animal's head is just static, like on an old CRTV, right? Like static when the cable goes out, just like, like it's just that. Or occasionally when you say a word they recognize, like that's like the signal clarifying for half a second so you can hear the word. It's like it's like when you're trying to fight through the snow to the TV snow there, the static snow, as a kid on one of the naughty channels that's not actually unlocked in your TV, but like you can get just a glance of it, and so you're like watching, and you're like, oh, I think that was a boob. Man. Anyway, okay, so there's one wandering monster, and then we're gonna get one more. 8 CR zeros, so 8 crabs. Ring monsters approach. Crab times 8. So you just have those, and you just make them ready to go, because there's a very good chance it won't ever even happen, unless it's a very big dungeon that players are really being thorough in. It's not actually super common, especially in these early, simple, straightforward dungeons. It's not very common that players are going to have a scenario where they want to take a long rest or they need to take a long rest. It certainly happens, but it's not going to be exceptionally common. So, let me just see something here. We're gonna change that to crab times 10, because I just noticed that I pressed generate random easy or random medium, it generated random easy, which it does that. That's one thing that is kind of frustrating about that tool, but for the most part, it's a wonderful tool. Okay, so we've got 2 out of 10 chance of an uneventful night. Uneventful night, and then as always, there's a 1 in 10 chance that there will be some sort of divine intervention, where one of the player's deities interacts with them, whether it's guiding them through the dungeon, or guiding them through the dungeon the next day, or offering a vision that night through dreams or through direct contact. I like adding those things. I think they're great vessels and great tools for pushing character-driven story plots. For example, player this past game, the player found himself in the library, and he was like, I just want to give a look through the library for religious texts. So, had to make a roll, and he found something, and so I just was like, okay, well, you find something that looks like a text, and what you actually find is an account of, the first creation of Bahamut, right? And it talks about the birthplace of Bahamut, and so you can decide, and so it's like, and it's like there was a map, and it points out where on the map, and I did that. I showed them on the map, Zioria, and the player was immediately like, that sounds like someplace my guy would want to go, and I was like, you should keep that in mind, write that down, so you can think about going there someday. Because this is a new group that hasn't interacted with me more than like 4 times that we've played, and so I still kind of give them hints about how I communicate as a DM, and so like, I'll just flat out tell them, I'll be like, I don't show you something on the map unless it's something that you can do and can be important. Along with also telling them you are not obligated to do anything that I point out on the map. You can go elsewhere if that's what you so choose. You can feel free to do that. It's always up to you. It's always up to you. Anyway, here we go. Okay, so got that. Now tokens here. Let's see here. Do I have object? What do I have? I think yeah, here we go. Marks numeric. So I'll just add these to number the rooms, and my players know that I number the rooms, and I just tell them, like, I flat out tell them, I don't mind revealing the curtain a little bit. I'll flat out tell them, yeah, the numbers correspond to, you know, what I've written in my notes, just so that way I can more easily grab whatever we need to grab for you guys. So, for the rooms, so room 1 is a guarded entrance. I'm going to do the guarded entrance, so to speak, right here. And the guarded entrance isn't actually even going to necessarily be part of the map. It's going to be the beach and the nature of sailing up to the beach and being able to come ashore in general. I'm probably just going to put some descriptors there, and hopefully I'll just remember that they're there. There's a good chance that I'll forget about it, and once they land there, then I'll look at one and be like, oh, the time's come and gone. But I'm going to make it so that regardless of when they show up, it's just something that's going to happen, and no one will ever know because it'll only ever happen once. As they sail up to it, the water is going to be very choppy, so it's going to require a couple, like a skill challenge. Is what I'm going to do for it, just like a 2-task challenge, you know, or just something like, you know, you need 2 people to do successful this, that, or the other save to successfully row and navigate through the choppy waters. Right, so I'm going to put that there, and that's going to be our guarded entrance. So now, the combat rooms, I think for the most part, keeping those in the indoor would be the best way to do it, because that's, you know, that makes sense for the zombies. They'll want to hide in the shade. They're not going to like the excessive light, I would assume, especially since they're brought to life through evil necromancy and stuff like that. So I think it makes sense. So you can see here I've got markers 2 through 6 are combat, right? So there's going to be an easy, medium, difficult, deadly, and then a boss combat that any of them can encounter. And there's nothing saying that they have to do one of them, and there's nothing saying that they have to avoid them. They can actively go in and partake in these fights if they wanted to. So it's completely up to the players, but that's what I provide, and I find that that's a good balance. You know, that they don't, a lot of times players will just flat out skip parts of dungeons, and that's totally a-okay. But then when there's that level of challenge and difficulty, that's how it can be that if they're not actually trying to be careful on how they navigate, there's going to be results for that. You know, there's going to be a certain degree of consequence, in that the consequence is them, you know, having to fight, and having a hard go of it. So let's see what I'm going to do. So I'm looking here. So marker number 8 is the twist, and that's where I'm going to put our 2 NPCs. And I want to put them in here, because I'm thinking this, when I'm just looking at this map, this is a good place for them to like have quote-unquote barricaded, right? So they were running away, they ran through into the shipyard, right? They ran through here into the shipyard, realized they were surrounded by zombies that were then willing to brave the, you know, the outdoors to go after a fresh meal. So they ran in here, found some spare planks and stuff, kind of erected a barricade there and there, and are just kind of hiding in there, right? And so I'm thinking that's going to be a good place for it to be, because it's so central. It's going to make sense. It's going to be logical that they would hide there. If it was somewhere up here, then it wouldn't make any sense. They would just sneak away and run away. But it's here, because it's surrounded by everything, they're afraid that trying to actively leave here is going to get them in trouble. So we're going to go ahead and put the 8 right there. So it's our twist. Now there's going to be a reward. The reward is always like, that's where I put treasure or something like that. Every good dungeon needs some treasure. We'll go ahead and put the reward maybe over here. Well, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Although, because we have crabs, we can have some of the outdoors be in those areas. So, yeah. So we're going to go ahead and put treasure up there in number 9. 10. So that's the safe room. I'm going to put 10, like the safe area, up here, in that they can just run off into the woods and barricade themselves and be safe. Like, I think that makes the most sense. Just reward. Okay, there's a puzzle. It feels like a waste of a large space to use it up on this instead of on combat, but I feel like I want to go ahead and, no, but would it make sense though? Ooh, because it's supposed to be barricaded. I was thinking that would be a fun place to do the puzzle, because like the puzzle would just be trying to figure out how to open up the boards to get to the players, or the characters that need saving. Oh, I don't know. You know what we're gonna do? Here's what we're gonna do. This is gonna be the puzzle. The puzzle is gonna be finding a way to get up here onto one of the upper floors, because this is a particularly large chunk of ship that is still intact. And there's gonna be a connection right there, right? You can see that it's really a gap, but because they're so close together, all like if they were to climb up in this one, they would have a way to come up from above and attack whatever monsters are waiting down below. And maybe that'll be a good one for the boss battle. Alright, the captain, the undead captain is kind of just Blair Witching in the corner down there or something like that. And if they were to walk through there, they would like alert some of the other crony zombies that are hanging out around there. But if they come in from above, they can get like sneak attacks or something like that. So we can offer a bit of a reward to them that way for exploring. And now we have to do 2 through 6. So 2. So 2 is, I generally like to follow 2 is the easy, 3, 4, 5, 6 is the hardest. So I'm thinking maybe we'll put 2 right here. Like there's just a lot of crabs there. 3. I think 3, the medium difficulty, we can also get away with just lots of crabs. So maybe we'll just put another pot of crabs there. 4. Yeah, because now we got 4, 5, and 6. So we'll do, let's say, 4 here with a couple that just kind of stand by that gap and they know that they're watching. 5 is going to be, oh, you know what? Actually, maybe I want 5 to be here, so it's like they have to be able to get to those guys, they would have to go through the boss zombie. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do this here. It's a red herring. We don't call it a waste, we call it a red herring. Then 6. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, so we're just gonna do our usual thing. We're gonna group here. I'm gonna call this number markers, and then do that. Oops, nope, sorry. Shift. Select them both, and we'll group them, and then yeah, we'll keep it called map skeleton. That works. That works, baby. So yeah, there we go. Okay, so I like that setup. So now we just start kind of adding, and so now here's where I go room by room, and I will sort of describe what goes on here. So marker 1, guarded entrance. So we're just going to say, oops, my bullet's still there though. So guarded entrance is the idea that the waters here are perpetually choppy and difficult to navigate. Players must succeed a simple skill challenge. And then we'll put the rules down here. So the rules are 3 successes to reach the beach. Let's see here. Let's see here. So just, I always like to include a couple ideas. They're not the end all be all, but that way I can just kind of keep in mind what I had in mind when I was doing this, when I was writing it. And so if we keep it, yeah, like if we just had some vague ideas, you know, it's not like they're beholden to them. There's other things, and I encourage them to come up with things that I haven't. But that way I at least keep an image in my head when we get to actually playing this, what I had in mind. So we'll say strength based for rowing, survival for navigating turbulent waters, things like that. So you just do a couple there. So now, this is a part I always struggle with, trying to decide how many failures it would take and what the failure state is. I always lean towards it takes more failures than successes to get through, because I think that, excuse me, like I think if it's too hard, like if you can fail off of too few failures, then it discourages players from trying them and it makes it not fun. So I'm thinking for this one I'm gonna err on the side of 5 failures is overall failure. And I'm thinking what the fail state is going to be sucked into water, victim to currents, eventually dragged to the whirlpool. So I'm thinking that can be a kind of a fun cop-out, right? So if the group fails, then their boat capsizes and they're all stuck in the current, and it pulls them no matter how hard they try and swim against it. They are pulled by this, by the strange currents developed by this magical whirlpool, and it sucks them in. And I think that would be fun because that would force them to interact with the whirlpool dungeon that is supposed to be for level 5. So it would put them in a difficult situation if they're only level 1, but that would encourage them to sneak out, whereas if they are level 5, then they can say screw it and just go ahead and kill everything. So that's how I'm going to keep it there. I like that. I like that exactly as it is. I'm still yawning. The caffeine was good for about a half hour and now it's wearing off again. I drink way too many carbonated beverages. They're just so tasty. So tasty. You know, how am I supposed to stop? How am I supposed to say no to something that tastes that good? Okay, so markers 2 through 6 are combat. So what I do here, see, enter V, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. So that gives us our 5 combats here. So we're gonna do marker 2 is going to be easy combat. Okay, and so generally speaking, when I'm filling out this type of room, for these, pick what the theme is and choose maybe 3 enemies to mix and match for these. So yeah, like those have already been picked out. One of each difficulty below. See, easy, medium, hard, deadly, and boss. So this is an easy one. So I always like to add just a little description of what you see here. I hate that it gets rid of the bullets when I delete. It's frustrating. Let's see here. Littering the beach is a collection of crabs scouring through the sand for an afternoon meal. Stepping too close, however, reveals that these crabs are particularly aggressive. They will attack the players if they get too close. Kind of off to the side, they're crabs, they're angry. So then we go ahead and do enemies, right? And then, so I already have in mind kind of how I want this one to be, but we're going to go ahead and do it anyway. We got the CR0, so it takes 10 to make it a medium. So I'm thinking maybe we'll do 7. So enemies, so we'll do crab times 7. So we know there's 7 crabs there. Pretty simple stuff. And then we also do rewards. Now, I've had a lot of players that like to get involved in crafting and stuff like that. So I always, if it's even remotely feasible that they might try to find something useful, I think about what would be there. Some things there's just nothing useful to be there. Crabs, that's for the most part, but what I'm going to go ahead and do, players may scavenge for crab claws. Scavenge. There's my scavenge for crab claws. Offers a tasty treat for the next long rest. No buffs. Screw them. And that's all there is. Crabs don't carry money on them. You know, I like to keep the treasures at least kind of realistic. All right, so there we go. So that was easy, right? It doesn't actually take that much work to get these going here. Marker number 3. That's going to be our medium combat. Medium combat. Now I just want to look and make sure I remember where that's going to be. So it's going to be up there. So I'm thinking up there calls for maybe something more like, I don't know, giant crabs. Kind of up there, we'll do random medium. Giant crabs are 1/8. Hold on, let me just see here. Let's see, how many does it take to make it a medium? 5. We can get away with 6. We can get away with 6. We're gonna get away with 6. We're gonna do 6 giant crabs. Alright, so this one, again, we want to. There we go. Alright, let's see here. Further up the beach is dominated by giant crabs. These crabs prefer to live closer to the tree lines. Tree lines? The tree line, is that what it's supposed to be? I don't know. Crabs prefer to live closer to the tree line so that they can try to hunt squirrels, and that don't stray too far from the foliage. We'll do it that way. Yep, that's just all they do. The foliage? Foliage. Yes. Giant crab. I'm gonna do enemies that are giant crabs times 6. There we go. Crabs times 6. Rewards. Can harvest giant crab carapace with difficult. I'm gonna call it animal handling, but I'm gonna put in parentheses flexible. Difficult. It's not really animal handling though, is it? I'm just gonna do nature. Could do medicine. We'll just do difficult skill. Roll to dissect. Giant crab carapace is strong enough to try to make armor or shield out of. There we go. There. So those are the rewards. They'd be the giant crabs. Again, crabs don't carry any money. This isn't Sonic. They're not gonna explode in a pile of rings. It's just not gonna happen. It's not how it goes. I'm gonna do this one a difficult combat. So now 4 is when we start going inside. Am I right? Am I right? There we go. Yes, 5 is inside up there. That was the red herring. Wait, hold on. Marker 4. Marker 4 is up there still. Okay. Difficult, hard, boss. Deadly, boss. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so for 4, if that's supposed to just be a difficult combat. Difficult versus deadly. So I'm thinking actually that'll work out okay because we can pull this up. It's the 1/4 here. Let's just see if it gives me a 1/4. Okay, so with the 1/4, like it doesn't have to be the same thing. They're all like the CR, like anything that's all CRs, like CR 1/4 are interchangeable as far as difficulty goes. So we're just gonna come up here. Yeah, there we go. So we can get away with doing 4 for the difficult. 4 difficult combat. Let's see here. The aft end of a destroyed ship. Inside, the supports are near collapsing with age, mold, and water damage. A handful of of waterlogged zombies shamble around in here. Alright, and then we want to go ahead and just do that. Yeah, so then enemies, going to do ash zombie times, did I say I was going to do 6? No, wait. Excuse me. 4. Okay, 4. Zombie times 4. Rewards. Slimy zombie skin. Worth only the vomit it induces. Just put that there so if anyone decides they want to be a smartass and try and loot the bodies of a bunch of mostly decayed zombies, we can do it. Dumbasses. Because you know they'll do it. Players love that. Players love exploring and stealing everything. Absolutely everything that they can get away with, they will steal. Because players, despite what they want to believe about themselves, are all dickheads. Marker 5. Deadly combat. Oops. We're going to finish just the combat ones, and then we're going to call it a night. It's getting close to 9 o'clock, which is my quitting time, because I will have to be up bright and early tomorrow. I am going to try and get to the gym bright and early. Hopefully the crowd size will be down tomorrow. But we're going to quickly finish up the monsters. It's going to be a good conceptual pause point for me. Okay, so marker 5. That is the one that's got the red herring situation going on, right? Yeah, marker 5. Okay. Large central cabin of a destroyed ship. It is 2 stories tall with we're going to call it a lattice work of the upper floor intact, comma, but barely. Boot barely. I don't know how to spell it all apparently right now. Barely. Just can access this floor, this upper floor through, see, through, gosh dang it, Scott, through, through room 7 can use to ambush zombies below. Earn a surprise round during combat. There we go. Easy peasy. Alright, enemies. Just autocorrect that. You know I'm writing enemies. Enemies. We're going to call it Ash Zombie times 5. Rewards. The pride of knowing that you did something good. So like, not everything has to have a reward, right? It makes, if you do too many rewards, it cheapens the rewards themselves. 6 would be boss combat. Just bullet it for crying out loud. Another hull of a beached and broken ship. In this one, a husk zombie burster is tearing intently at the boards placed between rooms 6 and 8. E-I-G-H-T. I'm gonna just change that to scratching. Scratching. 8, where the servants are cowering from the zombies. Enemies. Okay, so now here's where we go back to Kobold. And we want a CR1. So hold on, what we're going to do is minimum CR1. Just going to do that so we can just quickly... Come on. There we go. Boom. Okay. There we go. Yeah, we'll do it that way. Enemies. Husk zombie burster times 1. Ash zombie times 2. Rewards. Half buried in the sand. One of the corners of this area is a chest. This chest contains... Okay, so now I want to go to my consistency guideline here. Check out the... What did I say for 6 to 1800? So here's what I like to do. So 1200 is the range there. I like to just pick a random, I go to random generator 1 through 100, 100, randomize, 30 to 3, so they're going to get 33%. Yeah, see, I got a 33. It's not going to be very obvious. How do I navigate this? 33. Okay. Random generator, we got a 33. So I'm going to take that. We're going to say 33% of 1200, which I feel like that, like 1/3 of it, I could probably say, yeah, it's going to be about 400, right? Yeah, it's 400. 1200 And it's 0.33. Yeah, 400. We're gonna say it's 400. We're gonna say it's 1/3 at 400. Just make it nice and even. So another 400 on top of the 600 that they're gonna get there. So there's about 1,000 gold in this thing, is what I do. That's just kind of how I do it. All right. Contains 1,000 GP in. Actually, you know what we're gonna do? It's the value of 1,000. We're gonna do 600 GP and 400 GP worth of gems. Yeah, there we go. There we go. So for my treasure hunting friends, there they go. You know, it's as simple as that. You know, writing the system. Sometimes people worry, and I worry about this too. Sometimes I worry that the system that I've created for this is a little limiting, and it might force me into boxes. But for the most part, what I find is the way I've set it up is I don't actually feel that limited because it's all been set up with the understanding that all of it is negotiable. I can change any of it however I please to better suit my needs. And for the most part, you see, once we got the ball rolling, it's a little different when I'm doing these streams because I'm chit-chatting while we're doing it. But generally speaking, once we get the ball rolling, you can find that it goes pretty quick. Excuse me, and it's pretty easy to get everything designed and organized. And it's meant to be that way on purpose. So that way, if my players throw me a curveball, the idea is that if my players throw me a curveball during a session in terms of where they're going and what they want their goals to be, basically what I can do is I can just improv and fake a headache and get out, you know, a little sooner than normal. And then, you know, if we're going to play again next week, then it's like, okay, next week, you know, it takes me, as we saw here, when I can actually just sit and focus when I'm not trying to share what my process is while I'm going through it. It takes me like an hour to bang out just a simple dungeon like this, you know, that we can use. So it's a really good way to just like snappy get things together. But it doesn't, because like creativity is kind of built into the system that I use, it doesn't stop me from producing stuff that I feel is good quality. So at any rate, this is my system. We may or may not be finishing this particular shipwreck as a group, so to speak, with the stream, because I do want to keep working on it. So I'm going to continue to work on it. And I usually do a couple hours of writing every day, regardless of if I'm streaming it. So there's a very good chance that I will be streaming, or excuse me, working on this before the next stream. Either way, we will be working on this island for a while. So the next stream, the next writing stream is going to be on Wednesday. That's going to be February 10, is the intent anyway, unless something changes. I don't have a notification system, but I don't think that matters because I don't really have anyone regularly watching me, which is fine. I'm genuinely okay with it. Like, I'm not just saying that to try and seem like a nice guy and convince people to be nice to me. Like, no, I'm genuinely okay with that. I'm having fun sitting here sort of explaining my process. It's making sure that it's nice to make sure that I understand what it is I'm doing well enough that I can explain it, you know, especially when it's something that's important to me like this and something that I take pride in. So, yeah, with that in mind, this is lots of fun. I'm going to keep doing this. I'm really glad I decided to start streaming. I think this is helpful, and it's, you know, it occurs to me that this could be a good, fun way for people to stay in my life, because I tend to move around a bit with work and stuff like that, and I get caught up in work and being an introvert, so it's not always easy for me to go out and meet people. So my hope is that maybe one day this kind of grows and I can get some more people who are consistently just sort of interested in sharing my hobbies this way. You know, it can be a really passive way to do it without us having to go through the scheduling hurdles all the time. But, you know, I don't know. All of these are lofty ideas. One of these days, you know, so many one of these days things. For right now, I'm just going to keep enjoying doing it, you know, taking the time, a couple hours a day to sit down, stream, hopefully share some stuff, some insights with some other people, have some fun. If people come by for a chat, we can chat about stuff. Like happened last Friday when we were talking about different homebrew stuff for D&D. It's good stuff. It's all fun. It's all fun, and I dig it. So, yeah. At that, we're 5 minutes past my usual quitting time. I gotta get myself prepped for tomorrow, and then get myself some sleep so I can be up at 4 o'clock sharp tomorrow morning. 'Cause that's the life I live, baby. That's the life I live. We start early, and we go fast. That's what we do. It's not true. It takes like an hour for me to get the engine revving these days. When I was in college, man, I could like alarm goes off and 5 minutes later I'm walking to the gym. You know, I used to be on that. These days it's like we'll get up, have a cup of coffee, and we'll get there. Maybe it's an age thing, or maybe it's just a laziness thing. I don't know. At any rate, this has been fun. This has been a good writing stream. Got some good stuff done. Tomorrow, February 9th, it's Tuesday. I intend to be streaming some more Borderlands. I'm having a lot of fun streaming the Borderlands too, so I'm actually excited about that. One, because I love Borderlands, and two, because it's kind of fun to just use that as a backdrop to just sort of chit chat about stuff. So maybe some people will join by. I don't think it really matters because there's no one watching this, but hey, maybe someone will watch the replay and then be curious when they get to the end of this. So at any rate, I'm EnviroBoy. Still feel awkward about my own name that I gave myself, but I couldn't think of anything better, so we're going with it. It's been fun. Just remember to be kind to each other and leave a little goodness in the world. Try and make it a better place. Peace out, everyone.